Hello, I'm Natalie from Conscious Female Brands, and today's video I wanted to talk about a very important conversation that is really a big shift for women when they decide to embrace and embody all of who they are in their work life, in every aspect of their life really. But especially most of these conversations are discussing how we show up in our professional or our kind of more the arena where we are of service or we're showing up for other people outside of our family. And so this is the arena of what I call business, but really it's any role that you play out, part of who you are in the deepest layer or your core purpose. And I've realized over the years of my work life, my role as a teacher, my role as a speaker, that one of the things that so fascinated me was that when I was the most, let's say, entangled or struggling with something within myself was actually a time where I was probably really effective at what I did for my work. Because I came forward and I came towards whatever it was doing and I was really honest. And not only was I really honest, I was very heartfelt. And this is an interesting, fascinating reality. Because women have also been judged hugely in their work life, in their professional life, because of their, let's say, emotional tendency, or their maybe many different roles like parenting, other things that might detract or take away from their work. And when I've realized that I have more access to my creativity, my emotional range and depth, my ability to be compassionate to other people, inspiration for new ideas, because I'm in that emotional body, I'm actively engaging with some side of me that wants to come through. Not only do I show up differently, I give people around me permission to show up differently. And I've seen this again and again and again. And I wanted to just briefly have a little dialogue around where I feel most women are kind of holding themselves back in this arena. Now, I feel like in any topic that we want to discuss in today's world of kind of growth and evolution, there's extremes, right? So there's an obvious extreme if I'm saying bring your emotions to work and, let them kind of go all over the place. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that when we are engaged in an aspect of our life or in our hearts, or there's something going on, maybe we have, I'm using an example, maybe we have a family member who's sick, or we've stayed up, with a child that's having some, nightmares or something like this. These are just two examples. We show up a little bit more ourselves. There's less energy for this type of posturing. That doesn't mean that we show up putting our problems on other people, but we show up and we're ourselves. We're honest when people ask how we're doing. Okay, this sets off a chain reaction because it allows other people to say, oh, you know what? I haven't been, sleeping that well either. I've been, actually quite distracted myself because of this thing that's in the back of my thoughts or this person I'm really thinking about. And so what happens is that both people then create a connection that's much deeper than the surface level of what they would have normally interacted about. Now, going a little bit further, so say you come to your job and you're kind of a bit more on the surface. We'll say kind of like heart on your sleeve. Okay? Not only are you going to be more heightened, and this isn't to say that you want to always be operating from this place of kind of raw vulnerability, unless that's your zone, unless you like that. But when you do show up and you've got this kind of alert awareness to you, you're interacting in a much more kind of in the moment reality. You're not on autopilot. You're invested in what you're doing. You might feel different. Even if you're doing the same task, you're going to feel differently about what you're doing. And you're probably going to speak to the people around you with a different energy. And that's going to be felt. That creates a ripple. That creates a kind of a call to attention, let's call it. It's also something that women have this ability to alchemize their emotions in a way that usually we come out of whatever we're processing with some kind of new understanding. At least I do it within myself, whether that's even the process of feeling my feelings and then having to practice compassion for myself. Through that process, I then can turn to a friend of mine and offer the same support. Or I can look to my 4-year-old when she has these kind of episodes or periods where her emotions take over, and I can understand a little bit more about what that feels like. And my point is, instead of holding on to this feeling of shame or guilt around what goes on in your life and keeping it separate from how you show up in your work, whether you're a writer or a teacher, whether you're a nurse, whether you are a lawyer, whether you are a marketing advisor to a sports company, whether you are someone who works on the school board, whether you are just about any freaking role that you can think of. It's all applicable, because ultimately what most of our jobs are asking us to do is to relate. It doesn't matter if you're relating through a screen or if you're relating in person. What you're doing is you're creating connections and you're trading skills. And when you're trading skills, your skills can only be traded to the degree that you can communicate cleanly and properly, that you can be honest and the channels remain really clear. If everybody shows up and they're all trying to kind of hold it together and fit in this box and pretend that no other, part of them is alive and at play, then it's going to feel like a very confined and limiting type of relationship. And in this way, instead of feeling when you do have something come up in your personal life, right? Whether you're a new parent, or you've just separated, or someone in your family is sick, or you're struggling with some part of, acceptance of yourself, or some piece of you that's growing, whatever the growth spurt is, it's going to happen all of our lives. Whatever it's that edge for you, instead of holding it within yourself, feeling kind of like ashamed of having that going on, bring it into how you show up. Bring it into the way that you want to either show who you are a little bit more. Bring it into being much more compassionate as a person and what someone else might be dealing with. It doesn't need to look the same for you to have compassion for what they might be moving through at that point in their life. So I invite you to see this emotional entanglement of whatever you go through in your life, not needing to keep it separate, not needing to hide it, not needing to pretend it away, not needing to feel guilty about it. Because as a woman, that's actually part of our gifts, is the access that we have to our emotions, even when, to be honest, we might not understand them completely ourselves yet. But when we allow ourselves to feel them, through the process of feeling them often, we are going to learn some more things about ourselves. We're going to gain that clarity by simply opening up the gate and allowing ourselves to feel and move through that process. I hope this is helpful. If you'd love to hear me riff more on women in business, and particularly conscious women in business, then hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.